As an entrepreneur we interviewed once said, being an entrepreneur is a delicate balance between maniacally planning everything and seeing where the flow takes you. Planning and going with the flow tend to be comfortable in a way, predictable or just out of your hands. They may not always yield the results you need, though. When you're stuck, the next thing you should probably do is take a risk. No one ever said taking risks was easy, but in the startup world, risks are par for the course. Take a risk on your idea, take a risk on that connection, take a risk when diving into funding.
Frankly, if you're a founder, a startup CEO, you should be making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, then frankly, you're not taking big enough bets. One of the things that I find is that risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin.
We talked to Shellye Archembeau, a Fortune 500 board member, advisor, and author of Unapologetically Ambitious: Take Risks, Break Barriers, and Create Success on Your Own Terms. She knows firsthand the tips, hacks, and really useful insights into what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. We can't fit it all here, so we recommend you listen to the entire podcast and read her book, but we thought we'd offer you some of our favorite bites to chew on. So, how do you validate risks worth taking?
So the way I look at risks, I ask myself, okay, if I take the risk, what's the best that can happen? What's likely to happen? And then what's the worst that could happen? And for each of them, I try to decide whether or not it's worth it. So first, what's the best that could happen? All right, it puts me absolutely on track, right, for where I'm trying to go with CEO, etc. Well, what's likely to happen? Well, I'll at least gain skills and experience, even if it doesn't catapult me the way I want it to, that I'll be able to leverage going forward. And what's the worst that can happen, and can I live with it? So if I can live with the risk and the reward puts me where I want to be, career-wise, then I'm going to take the risk. One of the things that I find is that risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin. If you don't take risks, you just won't get the opportunities. So getting comfortable taking risks is such an important skill, especially for founders.
The thing with risk is that it's tough to choose when there's instability in the air, especially economically. What can you do to avoid what seems unavoidable? Maybe you believe you can predict a bad economic turn, but that's unlikely. Most experts don't even officially declare a recession until months after it's begun, kind of like a weatherman telling you that it rained yesterday.
It's 68 degrees, and there's a 30% chance that it's already raining.
So, how would you recommend founders navigate uncertain financial times?
Whenever you're facing an uncertain time, cash becomes so very important. So cash when you're in this phase, so that you have some flexibility when you need it. So that's number one. Number two, even though things can look terrible, what I found is that things are never as bad as they appear, and they're also never as good as they appear. So realize it's just a situation you have to deal with. And as the leader, you want to make sure that you stay pretty calm, which is why it's important to remind yourself of that, because the rest of the company is looking to you to determine how they should feel. So my biggest advice is, number one, got to manage the cash. And number two, you as a leader have to remember that you are the leader, and you have to model the behavior you want to see as you're going through challenging times.
If you want to hear more from Shellye, she has more where that came from getting higher level clients, to how to be a good leader by not making all the decisions, and how sales might be the perfect first job for everyone, especially entrepreneurs. You can hear it all on the podcast and at startupsavant.com.